So we just got an interesting tweet, and I just want to sort of discuss this because it is very interesting, and hopefully a lot of people in the fan community can get hyped about this. Sonox's Doc Wyatt, could the Underworld make a return in Ninjago Dragons Rising? Maybe Garmadon might end up there after the merge, and who knows? Is Clouse, if Clouse became the ruler there? But I'm getting ahead of myself. But I'd love to hear what you say about this and love Ninjago. Duck White responds to, keep watching to find out. Mysterio's not giving any spoilers. Let's discuss why people suggest Clouse to come back. Because of the Underworld. And Garmadon being there after the merge. It could be a similar thing what happened to him when he fell into the Underworld before the pilot. I'm going to be straight up. Garmadon is one of my favorite characters, and I have to admit, anytime he's in a season, good or bad, I'm talking to you, Crystallized, he is really a great character. Even in Crystallized, Garmadon's character was used to the fullest potential. I think it could have, there were certain aspects that I didn't like as much, but there are certain things that are good about Garmadon's character in that story. The whole purpose of change and growth for Garmadon as a character, being resurrected, being a snake, and a chondrite, whatever it is, like Jay says, pick a side, pick a creature to be. But like in fairness, it's always great to see Garmadon changing and ruling. But what would be greater for Garmadon's character is putting him back in the past and throwing him in the exact same place he once was. But just older and a lot more smarter and wiser and more powerful. Garmadon has definitely grown since the pilots, and putting him back in that same sort of position from the pilots in season 1, I guess, it'd be very nice. Two realms that I would like to see Garmadon obviously pop up in after the merge is either the Departed realm or coincidentally Underworld. The Underworld is obviously a first starting point for Garmadon, as that's where Garmadon obviously got the skeleton army, how he captured Nia, how he tried to rule over and get all the golden weapons. That's a main plot point for Ninjago's starting off point. Now, why do I suggest the Departed realm as well? Mainly because Garmadon was resurrected there, and in all honesty, if they wanted to explore that more, I would put him there. I doubt they do though. So I kind of would leave that in the dust and just take him to the Underworld. I definitely think Garmadon and Clouse will have a huge epic fight, but we should get into why everyone is saying Clouse is in the Underworld. So for anyone who's just joined Ninjago for the last 3 or 4 years, doesn't know much about the original series, there was a comic book similar to what's coming out this year that's sort of tied in with what happens after Skybound and Day of the Departed. Now, in my opinion, I have never read this comic book before. YouTuber, I think Chip Whip, I'll link him down in the description. He basically read through the stories a couple of years ago, and it was very enticing. The comic books these days are expensive, going around for the 40s and 50 margins, so he pretty much breaks it down in that video, and I appreciate him doing that. Now, in all honesty, the comic's actually really great. It takes place on the Dark Island. It's all about it's a Master Wu story, which is very beautiful and intense, but Clouse is the one who's the big bad. Taking off what supposedly is happening in Skybound, it makes a lot of sense to have Clouse as the next major villain in that story trope. Now, getting back to the plot of it and the ending of it, basically Clouse is opened a rift, and this rift is basically sucking him in. As you can see on your screen, Master Wu tries to say, "Join us. Everyone can have a second chance." And Clouse is like, "No. Why? We don't need a second chance. I'll let go." Sort of like what Mora did. Pretty much what Mora did. Really, Master Wu's really gone through this twice now. Now, Clouse obviously goes into the portal, and he ends up being, from what the end of the book states, he's in the Underworld. So people have always suggested if some bone creature had just come back. So, for example, in Monster Mountain, people theorized that the Skull Sorcerer could have been Clouse. Maybe this was the underworld that they were re-exploring. The Bone Warriors, the Bone King, could be Clouse. No, they're not, because they're not from the same realm. That's from the wildness. So it'd be very much nice to explore this, and it'd be very interesting to see. Do you think out of any character that should return, Clouse should be a major one? And a storyline they could definitely pick up with this is with the Shadowspin comic. I know for a fact Chin and Clouse will have to have some mention in that, especially if it's taking place in the Serpentine War. If it's not in any real negative light, just a mention, or just a mention that it's just Garmadon was training under Chen, I definitely do see something like this obviously entirely happening in Shadowspin comic. But in entirely independent, Clouse or Chen doesn't. What between the two of them, the one I see returning is Clouse. Clouse is powerful. He's a wizard. He's got magic. Magic is being explored in Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 2. In Part 2, we will be having a tournament season. Hopefully Sora and Jordana. Tech versus Magic. Hopefully we see this in the tournament. One aspect that I'd want to see repeated in this. But realistically, Clouse would be a great character introduced back into the show. Admittedly, anytime they bring Clouse into a story, if it's canon or not canon, like the one they did at Legoland Discovery Centers, back, I think they've canceled it, but back then, it was very, very cool and imaginative. Just having Clouse as a huge threat, or even just a middle-class threat like the mechanic, it just makes a lot of sense to do something like this. Magic is often handed, but when used in controllable matters, it does destruct. And seeing Clouse grown in the last several years, not knowing how long it's actually been since we last saw him in 2016 to Dragons Rising, he's had to get more powerful. Garmadon and Lloyd have gotten more powerful. Seeing a 2v1 will be absolutely amazing, and who knows who Clouse has befriended in the Underworld. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.